We use one of those mics.
Hey, how'd you get started?
There you go.
Let me know if it's too loud. Not too loud. Are y'all warm or are you comfortable? Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Welcome everybody. Thank y'all for coming. We really appreciate you being here. We're going to kick off with prayer and the pledge. And I'm going to ask Jacob Todd to come up and do that for us. And when we say the pledge, actually, y'all, this is our flag. They're working on getting a flag for their room, but are there any veterans in the room tonight? Jim, thank you. Don, awesome. Thank y'all for being here. Okay, I'll hold the flag and you can pray and just lead us in the pledge.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, we want to thank you so much for such an amazing day today, and thank you for allowing all of these, everybody in this room. And Lord, thank you just for the opportunity for us to be able to have this event. Thank you for Miss Kristen. Thank you for Cruz for being able to come out and speak with us tonight. And Lord, just we allow you to come into our hearts, allow you to fill us with the Holy Spirit, guide us with questions, and allow us to be able to open up, hopefully learn something we didn't know coming in here, to allow us to have good conversations and come together and stand, and to continue growing with our patriotism of this country. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay, my job is to welcome you and give you a few announcements. Again, my name is Vicki. I'm on the board of We the People, and just appreciate all our other board members and our volunteers to just make all of this happen. This is a little new for us, a little different, just really trying to pull in some of the younger people and students. So I'm just thrilled to have 2 Nichols students and Kristen, who is a beautiful young teacher, and well, you're going to learn all about her. So we're really excited about this. So thank y'all for being part of this kind of a kickoff. Just a few announcements. Number one, we are a nonprofit 501c3, but we have started a sister organization. It's a 501c4, and that will allow us to be able to take action without having so much legal advice. Just some leeway in what we're able to do. So we're starting at ground zero. So we have a bank account. There's not much in it yet. So if you want to donate tonight, you can do it out there. And we appreciate, anything that y'all can do to help us get up to where we need to be. Also, we are sponsoring a luncheon next Thursday. Dr. John Fleming will be the guest speaker. He's, of course, the Louisiana State Treasurer. He's also running for U.S. Senate. And you can sign up for that tonight, also out at the sign-in table. And just want to remind y'all that we have National Day of Prayer coming up on May the 7th. I think that is
Thursday?
Okay, I don't remember, but May 7th, get out your calendar, put that in. It's at the Courthouse Square. I think it starts at like 5:30. It's a Thursday. Thank you. And then the last announcement is we are doing a shrimp boil fundraiser, and that will be on May 29th. You can purchase tickets tonight if you want. They are on sale. And also, if you have a business or know someone that would like to sponsor 10, we will deliver to anybody that orders 10 or more. So appreciate that. Okay, so what am I forgetting, y'all? Anything? Is that good?
Oh, yeah.
The shrimp boil? It is going to be set up at Lee Whitney Signs on Lafayette Street. It is, what's it close to? right across from the post office on Lafayette Street. Yes. So you just drive through. We bring it to your car. If it's not a delivery, you just drive through. It's super easy. It's delicious too. Everybody raves about our shrimp boils. It's probably our 5th time to do this. So. 6th? Okay. There you go. When you join, I found out you have to join online. Yes. Rejoining because I was a member. No, you're going to still be a member. Yes, you can do that. You can do that tonight. Yeah. If you're paying dues, that would go to Bayou Community. If you want to give a donation to help the Bayou Action, it's called We the People Bayou Action. That's the 501c4. That is not tax deductible. So just you can give a donation to that. So, okay. Thank you for those questions, Sharon. I appreciate that. Are there any elected officials in the House? I know there are. Y'all just stand up and make it easy for me. Yeah. Dr. Budd, school board member. Don Crowder, school board member. Thank y'all so much. And a lot of times we will put index cards so you can write out your questions on the chairs. We're not doing that tonight. You're just going to come to the mic and ask your question. However, if there's a burning question in your mind and you need to write it down, there are index cards in the back. You're welcome to go grab one and write down your question. If you ask a question at the mic, you might get a prize. You might get a prize tonight. So I really want to encourage y'all to do that. Okay, I will ask our own Danielle Walker to come up, and she will be the MC tonight.
Thank you, Vicki. Welton, am I supposed to use both mics? Okay. Y'all can hear me okay? It's okay, cool. Thank you, Vicki.
Where are their mics? What are they using?
I guess that's a good point. We can. Okay. Or I'll pass them over.
Questions, we'll just take it over there.
Yeah. All right. We're organized tonight, guys. I thought maybe I'd just clarify a little bit about Bayou Action versus Bayou Community. The Bayou Community is really our educational arm. This is what allows us to talk about all kinds of policy issues and kind of bring awareness to the community. And the Bayou Action is where we can be a little bit more political, where we can potentially endorse candidates if we want to, and host things that are not necessarily bipartisan, even if we're not endorsing someone. So just wanted to clarify that. That's why we needed 2 separate organizations to be able to do both of those things. And as Vicki said, I'm Danielle Walker. I am on the board of We the People, and it's a pleasure to be here with y'all tonight. I hope y'all had a beautiful day. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I just am so grateful y'all came out. And tonight we're going to be talking about indoctrination in the school system, kind of some of the propaganda warfare that that students are living through, that teachers are having to wade through. Welton, am I not picking up? Is it okay? Okay. All right. We've had fights with lapel mics for a while now. So what I thought we'd do is I'll just introduce, I'll just go one at a time, and maybe Kristen, I'll start with you. I'll introduce you, and then if you want to say a few words, and then we'll just go down the line. If that's good, I'll introduce you right before you speak. Kristen is a mom of 2. Kristen, is it Juan? Yeah. Okay. Kristen is a mom of 2. She's an elementary teacher, and she's a Christian first. She's on the front lines advocating for truth and academic integrity in the classroom, working to ensure that students receive a strong, honest education rooted in high standards. She serves on our parish library board. That is so awesome, where she continues to stand up for children and the content that they're exposed to. She's known for openly speaking about issues many educators avoid. Kristen has built a growing presence on social media by addressing topics others are hesitant to say out loud. Through this, she's become a voice for Christian educators, parents, and children who want to see integrity, accountability, and strong values restored in education. Kristen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your courage to stand up. And if you want to stand up and speak, you can. If you want to sit there, this should go far enough. So okay, I'll just turn it on for you. Ooh, there you go.
Awesome. Do you mind if I
No.
I don't mind.
To set
my thing down?
No, I don't mind at all.
Thank y'all for having me. So tonight, I just want to speak from a teacher's perspective, but mostly from a mama's heart. I spend almost every waking moment with children, whether it's my own children or other people's children, and I've just seen firsthand the attack on our young people, especially in the public school system. So I'm a Christian first, and so of course, when I started seeing the warfare just coming again, basically it was an attack on their identity is what I was seeing. And it's a real battlefield. And I knew that the Lord was calling me to speak up. And that's not an easy thing to do in the education space. But I had a choice. I could turn a blind eye or I could count the cost and speak the truth. And what's funny is I had zero social media presence and I just made a TikTok account for the first time. And I thought I was playing it safe because I had no friends on TikTok and nobody that I worked with was on TikTok and nobody was going to see this video, right? And so I get on TikTok and I just speak from my heart. What I was seeing was a lot of identity politics in the curriculum, a lot of anti-God, a lot of anti-America, a lot of anti-family rhetoric infiltrating even the small conservative community that I was teaching in. The other thing that was happening was teachers were actually coming to me and they were like, man, not teachers, I'm sorry, parents were coming to me upset because their children were getting surveys basically asking them what their gender was, what their pronouns were, and if they were comfortable basically using those pronouns in front of the parents. And they were receiving these surveys and all of this stuff was just swirling around and I was just beginning to feel very heavy-hearted over it all. And so I take to TikTok. So I get on TikTok and I created my very first video and I'm going to read these words because this is exactly what I said in the video. And honestly, what happened next was insane, but I'll get there. I said, if schools are allowed to teach gender identity to elementary children, then I should also have the freedom to teach them about how God was not confused when he designed them. I should be able to teach them that God created them, a boy or a girl, on purpose and for a purpose. And what I was doing was exposing the hypocrisy because they were able to go into the schools and teach these ideologies, but Christian voices were being silenced. And so if you're free to teach kids basically this confusing ideology, then I should also be able to be free to share the counter narrative of that. And So what happened next, and like I said, I'd never been through any of this. I didn't even know that these people existed, but what happened next was the video went viral. It was broadcasted nationwide, and at first I had so much support. It was teachers I remember the comments, they were like, preach it, say it. I've been feeling the same way, because a lot of teachers related to what I was saying. And then the video hit the wrong side of TikTok and there was a literal left-leaning mob, several of them that really targeted me really, really hard. And so what happened was they were calling my school to get me fired.
Wow.
And they were saying the most vile, and I had never been through anything like that before. They were saying the most vile comments, threatening my life. They found my address. They found my phone number. They were basically threatening to come to my house. I mean, you name it, like being doxxed. I didn't even know what it meant to be doxxed before. And so here I am like, okay, God, what is going on? And I end up getting called into my principal's office, of course. And so I was basically at school one day And I was sitting in my principal's office, and I had such a great relationship with my admin. They were wonderful. But they were like, look, we're getting all these calls. Basically, for your safety and everything, just take the video down. And I knew, like, at that moment, like, I had a choice. I stood by what I said. I was not going to bow down. I was not going to cave. And so I was like, I understand, but I'm not going to take the video down. And I remember that day being asked to take what they called a mental health day, because it was just a lot. But I thought, surely when I go back to school, they're going to let me go. And so I remember being in bed that night, crying out to the Lord, because I felt like the whole world was against me. They weren't, but that's what it felt like in that moment. And I remember I said, God, you have to come to my defense. Like, I spoke the truth, and I just need you to come to my defense. I felt like the world was against me. And the very next morning, I kid you not, I wake up. It was like an army of the Lord. Like, my community backed me. I mean, there were news outlets that were like defending my voice, that were playing the video, like really rallying behind me. And I didn't lose my job. So, so my community got behind me. And then I believe that it's because of my community rallying behind me that I didn't lose my job, because there's so many teachers who, if they would have said what I said out loud, which it shouldn't be that controversial, but it is in today's political climate, they would have lost their job. So it just goes to show you that there's power in voices of people, in the voices of people. And when we come together in unity, we truly can move mountains. And so I was able to stay working as a fourth grade teacher. In fact, they were all trying to get me fired, but people from my community were actually calling my school saying, do not fire this teacher. So the opposite actually happened. So, but here's the thing. Like, I wish that I could tell people that waging war in this political climate would not lead to persecution, but persecution truly is inevitable. The good news is that we always fight from a place of victory. I know teachers who have been fired for taking a stand, for not letting boys and girls bathrooms, for refusing to use preferred pronouns because it just went against their conscience. I personally have friends that have been fired for doing that, and whatever happens, the Lord has just truly been behind them through it all. And so here's the thing. We will not see the victory by remaining silent. We have to defend our most vulnerable, and our voices really do hold power. I think that's what I was taught through all of this. And so really, if I could do anything tonight, it would be just to encourage you to stand firm and do not be silenced. And I think about, we're all from different spheres of influence, whether that's the education field or the medical field or the entertainment industry. We all have influence where God has placed us, and we have to be Christians first. And I just think about Esther all the time. I think about how she says, if I perish, I perish. And my thing is that if I perish, I perish, but my children will not have to fight battles that they were never meant to fight. And so that's all.
That's my fault. One second. Tech help. Do I need to just take this thing off? I need to leave them both. Okay. All right. I just got to stand on this side of the speaker. Okay. Kristen, thank you so much for standing up. That's an incredible story. And I just see you as a watchman, like a watchman on the wall. And I think that's what our teachers are supposed to be, right? Like, you're here to bring up the next generation. You're here to protect them. And I think it's so evil, what's been perpetrated on these innocent, so vulnerable, so sponge-like minds. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for taking a stand when the Lord called you to take a stand. Should we take questions or should we hold them? Well, okay. Well, y'all just hold your fire, and we'll get there. Okay. Cruz Cassard. Am I saying that right? Cassard. All right. Cruz is the student body president at Nicholls State University, and he serves as a member of the University of Louisiana System Student Advisory Council, where he also holds the role of service learning coordinator. He's a passionate advocate for higher education for students, and he focuses on keeping Louisiana college graduates in state, strengthening student governance, and representing student voices at the state level. He's traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with Louisiana's congressional delegation on issues affecting students and higher education. And prior to college, he was named the Donaldsonville Area Chamber of Commerce's 2023 Teenager of the Year while attending Ascension Catholic High School. He also works with the Nicholls Colonels baseball program as support staff. If I got any of that wrong, you can blame Brock. If I got it right, you can blame me. Do you want to stand up? No, you do because we're live streaming.
I'm used to campaigning around. Yeah, so I'm Cruz Cassard with all of that stuff and plenty more. I have legislative experience in Baton Rouge. I've worked for the chairman of Senate Education and a bunch of accolades and all that stuff. I don't have the story she has, so that's awesome and everything. The problems I really deal with as student body president on a day-to-day basis is just a fundamental lack of understanding how things work. It's just point blank. Recently, and we can talk more about it, but from students just not understanding everyone has free speech rights, to that the law matters, it has to be enforced no matter what your feelings are. Like the law has to be the law. And there's a lot of problems across the spectrum, but I really appreciate being here. I do better with questions, so my story is not anything close to hers, but it's really great to be here. I look forward to answering your questions if I can. I specialize with state government, so Jacob's a little bit better in the foreign world, I'm told, but anyway, I do a lot of state stuff, so thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Cruz. Thank you. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions for you. And Jacob Todd is a graduate safety practitioner with a bachelor's degree in safety management from Nicholls. And he was the Turning Point founder at Nicholls as well. And he's demonstrated, give him a hand. He's demonstrated leadership and a commitment to engaging others in civic and cultural issues.
Somewhere We the People, because I can definitely say We the People has helped me out tremendously, even in college. But as Ms. Danielle said, I'm the founder of Turning Point USA at Nicholls State University. I started it by myself in 2023. It took a while to get things going, but when we finally did, it was an amazing group. And like what Cruz was saying, one big thing is a lot of people at Nicholls do not believe in free speech. They think just one voice is all they need, and if it's not theirs, you're wrong, shut up, don't talk to me. But the one thing we wanted to do is we wanted to bring civil conversation back, and we believe that's the one way that this country can change, and what can be changed in colleges. And the number one thing we're here to talk about today is the indoctrination in the school system. And it's been really bad, and particularly you never think it would be, but as a safety major, we wouldn't think politics really wouldn't be brought much into the classroom. There's no need. But our peacefully and make sure we can get what's going on in our thoughts to each other to hopefully, bring back, good conversations and constantly learning. Because I'm still in my early 20s. I'm going into my work career. We never stop learning. And I don't plan on stopping learning. And that's why we're still here today, is because we want to learn more. So I'm looking forward to this panel, looking forward to any questions. We the People, thank you all again for having us today.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think I'm going to pass y'all this mic. Let's see if it reaches. Not really that great, but
Try. We can make it work.
All right. The floor is open for questions. Yes, sir.
A question for Kristen. Those surveys that the students were getting, where were they originating? Who was putting them out? Was it principals or the school board or where?
Yeah, so he was asking where the surveys are coming from. I think it's coming from the Department of Education. Their surveys, you could actually find them on their website. But some teachers, there are teachers that are, I would call them like political activist teachers. They actually make videos on TikTok showing all of the activism that they do in their classroom and the politics that they push. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they were making them on their own, like the teachers may be making them.
All right, next question. Don?
Also for Kristen, what parish are you in? Where are you teaching? Or where were you teaching?
I actually thought about that. I'm like, I should tell them. I was in Livingston Parish. Yeah, a very conservative area. Yeah.
And you were teaching fourth grade?
Fourth grade, yes.
And this was part of your curriculum?
So actually, it wasn't. It was infiltrated. There were not the pronoun stuff was not part of my curriculum. There were parents who had older kids that were saying that they were getting these surveys. My particular curriculum, it was very like, you'd have to really look very closely to see the agenda. It was very like anti-America agenda interwoven within the curriculum, is what I was seeing more at the fourth grade level. And then there was just inappropriate, like not age appropriate content. But our parish was actually really good about whenever parents would complain and speak up, like this book is not age appropriate. Our parish was really good about changing the books that the kids were exposed to. But a lot of times the kids were already exposed to the content and the damage was already done before the content was changed, if that makes sense.
Congratulations to both gentlemen. I think I saw you at Monday night at the food.
Yes, parish president's board.
Yes. That was well done. Anyway, one of the things that I see, and I'm very proud of you for what you did with Turning Point, Charlie was real big about knowledge. When I was in the 9th grade, we had a full year of government. Nobody's taught the Constitution anymore. It's amazing how many people are graduating college and have no idea what's in the Constitution. All they know is what they've been told. Would be inappropriate as a good starting point is if these are always constitutional, hand out copies of the Constitution, or I know in the quadrangle you are allowed under certain circumstances. Get a speaker and get there and just read the Constitution of the United States out loud. It'll get attention. Some people will really learn. You're not giving your interpretation, and I think that's probably our biggest, because all they know is what they've been told for teaching the Constitution.
Would it be best to go?
Or maybe that can move this.
Yeah, I think
Does it have any slack on it?
Just move.
Why don't you move the whole panel to the center of the room? That way we can see them better too.
I'll move the table to like towards the.
And I'm supposed to be throwing out shirts to anyone who asks a good question. So if you ask a question, you can come and collect later.
So right now you're using the built-in.
Is this gonna work now?
Internet, right? You're not using anybody's Wi-Fi.
No, I'm using my internet.
I just need to be
My phone.
behind
It's built
it. I
into the
think you have to
phone.
be behind
Yeah.
the speaker, is that right?
It should work better than Wi-Fi.
Yeah. All right.
Camera still good, live stream.
All good?
Sounds good.
So to answer your question,
The question was,
question was, what are we doing in our schools and colleges to actively teach people about the Constitution? Right? Okay, cool. So a few things. My administration that I'm under right now, my team, I always make sure that anytime we have Constitution Day, anything we can do, we're always handing out copies of the Constitution. I'm big on that. I have Constitution socks I wear all the time, number one. Dead serious, you can ask Jacob. But I always like to say what's on my socks gives me the freedom to wear those socks. But anyway, so we're always handing out pocket constitutions. We're trying to push constitutional thought and expression anytime we can. That's one. Number two, we made history 3-4 months ago. I was able to convince my Senate, which is usually not the most conservative thing in the world, but nonetheless, I was able to convince my Senate that we need to pass a constitutional amendment to ensure legal rights that are enshrined both in the Louisiana Constitution and the U.S. Constitution into our governing documents. Sounds like something you should already have right? Also, it's important to understand about my organization, all students are members of student government. So I wanted to make sure that if there was any procedure, anything, everything was adherent to the United States Constitution and the Louisiana Constitution as well. And you may be like, that should be easy. And you can ask Jacob, not easy, no. But we got it through, and it's gonna be put on the ballot soon, and we're gonna work hard to make sure we can educate students. It's another educational moment that, these rights aren't just assigned to people we agree with. These rights are for everyone. So we're always trying to educate. We're trying to push it out there that, hey, you have these rights, make sure you use them. So we have that. We also have several positions that I've created in the rest to inform students, you have these rights, you need to use them. People fought and died for these rights, make sure you use them. So my team, we love the Constitution, and we're always trying to teach students what's in it and all the rest. So that's one of the non-negotiables in my team. Also, when people apply for positions, you'd be surprised how many people have told me they want me to monitor and censor free speech. If I had $1, we could probably build a new building. But that's a no-go, like absolute no-go. So we're changing culture on campus, and luckily students have put us back in for another year. So we're going to continue that teaching moment of, hey, this document matters and we need to talk about it more. So that's some of the things we're doing. I have a whole list of others, but we can talk later.
I got one thing I got to say. So, as Cruz was saying, their administration does hand out pocket constitutions, and when we started as well, like with Turning Point, they would ship us marketing materials, so stuff to be able to hand out to students for free. And one of those big things we had was pocket constitutions. I can say we at least got maybe 250 of them. I still have some around my house because there's so much I didn't know what to do with. But we have them on their table for students to come grab. Some of them we throw it away. Some of them we keep them. But there's a whole variety of different students at Nichols. But the point is we're out there and we're trying to make that change. And at the table, we were always open to discuss, anything regarding the Constitution and what's in those pocket constitutions. Because it's not something that Charlie Kirk wrote. It's what our founding fathers. It goes way back. It goes way back, way before Charlie Kirk was even a thing. So, even talking about that in our meetings, it's very important for the students to know what the Constitution is. And if we're graduating with a college degree and we don't know what our civil rights are in the Constitution, we have a problem. So, making sure the students stay educated, and I know Cruz's administration was doing a good job because I can testify I was on that board. He's doing a great job. To keep it going, we have one Turning Point member here, Emma Petrie, up in the front row. So they're doing a fantastic job.
Follow-up question: have you ever been threatened because you're a member of the Turning Point?
Oh man.
Not everyone knows because unfortunately, a lot of the people I know just don't care. Like they claim to have these values, they don't care about it, or they compromise a lot. They don't like to talk about it. But I have been I've had some close friends of mine find out about our turning point, and they basically said, hey, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi because of your beliefs, and Charlie Kirk was a horrible person, and Donald Trump is a dictator. Yeah, I was like, oh, my phone. I have not threatened physically. Mike, is it gonna reach?
You good?
I'm good? Alright. Not too often because unfortunately a lot of the people I know, you ask them, they will claim to believe in this, what we believe in, but they don't actually care. They don't like to talk about it, or they also don't like to because a lot of the people we know just don't believe in it and they don't want to lose those friends. But the ones who do know I am part of Turning Point and disagree with me, I've been called some nasty things. I didn't even bring it up. They were like, oh, you believe in this, that makes you a fascist and a Nazi. And people I thought were my close friends. And the moment they find out I disagree with them, all of a sudden, I'm a horrible person. And everything I believe in is Nazism and fascism, and my president's a dictator now because he believes in enforcing the border. And it is hard because I like a lot of these people, but there's definitely a lot of pushback on campus, and I've seen people online too talking about Turning Point chapters, and some nasty things, all while telling me they're the morally superior side. So I do face backlash about that.
Good for you.
Yes. Stand your ground.
So I'm gonna continue off of that. Get to your question right after. With my experience of starting it up, the university originally told me, "Do you know what you're starting by bringing this onto campus?" I said, "Well, if students cannot control their mouths and their actions, I highly doubt if they're going to make 2 weeks at work. Because if somebody says one thing they disagree with, they can't go yelling, raging at their boss, and cursing somebody out because they disagree with them. They're going to be let go. So college is the time to learn about self-control and being able to develop character."
You had to tell the administration this?
Yes. 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 So it wasn't when Cruz was in. This was back in 2023 before Cruz was in office. But when I started in the spring.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes. So I was threatened a lot. Online, verbally coming up. Meeting our first year, they told us if anybody spoke anything wrong against the LGBTQ community, all of us were going to be put in the ground. Police report was made. Last year, I made homecoming court at Nichols State University. I got death threats beyond belief that I had to go to the police to make more reports on. So this organization and just standing up in general, this is what it cost you. This is what's going to happen. And it's a shame that it has to come to this, because my thing in that we brought up, and all of us up here as speakers are Christians, trying to get more Christians on campus to speak up. Because the more we speak up, the more in numbers we are. And it only takes a few to where we can start something, and it eventually grows to be something more than ourselves.
Emma, you want to say something, and then I'll go to Dr. Budd. We got a lot of questions, but y'all be patient because we have time.
Oh, and I actually just did have a question, before this.
Okay.
I didn't leave though.
Go ahead with your question.
Do I need that again? Or
Yeah, you're fine.
Good? I'm good, okay. Actually, when he started talking about civics education, I'm in speech class this semester, and I literally just gave a persuasive speech today on why we need to change our civics education in high schools. And it came to a point where we did Q&As at the end of the speeches, and I had talked about this quote by Aristotle, and he says, "All who have meditated on the art of governing mankind have been convinced that the fate of empires depends on the education of the youth." And I reiterated that so many times throughout the speech. And it got me thinking that I think the reason we're at where we're at now is because we don't value education anymore. We do it for pieces of paper and degrees. Those are important, but the main point of education is improving ourselves. And there's this quote
I can't remember who says it, but they said that founding fathers believed that we need personal self-governance to have a political self-government. So how do you think that we bring back the love for learning and searching out truth instead of people believing education is just sitting in a classroom and listening to someone tell you always facts and information? Really, it's about, oh, when you read, that's what I did in my high school. I didn't go to traditional school. We would read a book and we'd get together and we'd talk about where do we see virtue, where do we see goodness, beauty, and truth. Yeah. And I think that's really what fostered this feeling in me that I want to learn, I want to talk about things. Yeah. And I don't see really anyone else around me wanting to do that. So how do you think we start doing that?
I'd love to hear Kristen's answer to that, but for the live stream and for anybody who couldn't hear, it was, so Emma was talking about the fact that she gave a speech today on the need for civics education, and she feels like we've really lost our love for learning, and that it's kind of, that school has become a rote thing. And it's about papers and certificates, and it's not about bettering ourselves. Yeah, it's not about the truth. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it's not about, it's no longer seeking and reading truth for ourselves, and it's more, we just go because we know
Memorization
we get
and
this at the end of,
yeah.
at the end of it all.
Yeah. Kristen, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. I think what has happened is there's this environment that's been created where everybody must agree, and so a classroom environment where you feel like everybody must agree in order to succeed, you're not able to have exactly what you're talking about, that civil discourse where you can like hash things out in a respectful way. And one of the things that was in the public school curriculum that I taught from that I really did respect, and a lot of teachers didn't like it, but I did it all the time, it was called a Socratic seminar. Yeah, she does. And so we would talk about different viewpoints, and one of the things that, I mean, it would bring out so many great things out of my students. They would come alive. They would really get into it because they were able to share from their perspective, and they were actually retaining the information, because something happens intellectually whenever you have conversation. We're made to have conversation. We're made to discuss and talk and hash things out. And here's the thing, we've got to get over this if you don't agree with me, you hate me rhetoric. Agreement doesn't equal love, and disagreement doesn't equal hate. And so teaching children, even at such a young age, hey, we don't have to all agree with one another's worldviews and perspectives, but we can talk this out and we can learn from each other's perspectives. And I've just seen beautiful things happen in the classroom when you get in a circle and you respectfully have dialogue. And I think that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to bring back. So bringing back civil discourse, and where people feel free to speak, even in the 4th grade. Hey, this is how I feel about it. And they don't feel judged or like they're saying something that's gonna not be like cool, or, you know, you have to create those environments in the classroom for students to thrive. So there's my take on that.
I might just add one thing to it. So I read this anecdote not too long ago that 2 of the founding fathers were so committed to debate that they actually wrote letters continually to each other, and somebody would pick a different debate topic. And one of the debate topics was literally, which is the appropriate side of the asparagus to start eating? Instead, so I think the need for that to me just spoke to what you were talking about, Emma. Like, I care so much about being able to convey a point that I'm going to talk about something ridiculous, absolute, that there's no right answer to. Okay, this gentleman.
I don't think it starts in the classroom. I think it starts at home.
I think that's
I
right.
have 3 children, and they're patriotic. They're good kids. I don't think it starts in the classroom at all. I think it starts at home.
I think that's right. And just for those watching online, he was saying that he doesn't think it starts in the classroom. He thinks it starts at home, and that's how
Sorry.
patriotism is birthed. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
All three of my kids are very patriotic.
That's awesome. Yes,
Can I-
sir.
I'm sorry. Can I add one thing onto?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Now, I do believe that starting at home is a very essential part, because being around like your parents in the upbringing of like, you know, in 5th grade or 4th grade, you have these classrooms like, what is I had an assignment in 5th grade. It's like, what does patriotism mean to you? But being around your parents is definitely one thing. Your family can definitely.
A school is not gonna help you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. What I was trying to get to is that there, as much as it should, because at the beginning of the day, what do we say before, or like whenever we go to school at the beginning of the day, depending on what school you go to, we always start the day with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we should. Some schools take that out, but we should. And so instilling these values at home,
But making
bringing
them
them to school.
understand it.
Yes.
That's important. They don't know why they're doing it. They have to be told what it's for.
It's just getting to be so much of like, we're doing this, but why are we doing this?
Don't make it a process.
Right.
Make it a feeling.
And that should be, that should definitely be explained. In my, how Emma was talking about civics, I was in civics my senior year, and the teacher would always like to get really political in our conversations. But whenever it was my turn to speak, she'd move on. I said, hold on. How come we can bring up all this stuff, but whenever it's my turn to speak, we're going to sweep it under the rug? She's like, Jacob, we got to move on. I said, okay. So I stood up to the rest of the class. I said, so going forward, after we graduate this year, whenever something differs from you, let's just sweep it under the rug and everything's going to be fine. If we live that way, we are in for a rough ride.
Well said, Jacob. Okay, Dr. Bud, you've been waiting very patiently.
And my question is for Cruz. We all realize, watching our young people go to college, that, and even as a young person when I went to college 300 years ago, the goal was to recognize what your teacher wanted and to give it to the teacher. And so long as you have a teacher that has reasonable morals and standards, that's probably not a bad idea. But we also know that in a lot of the college level, there's a great liberal influence. So if you're trying to stand up and have courage, which you people have, and I admire that so much, it makes it very difficult to do that and pass the class. Would there be a mechanism that you could put in place where the students could come and have an honest grievance where a teacher is giving and not receiving, any kind of conservative type of thought, but a mechanism of grievance where the student can safely come to you or the Student Government Association and say, hey, how can we approach this? How can this teacher be called to stand up for what they're teaching us, even though it's not the right thing?
Yes.
Hang on, Cruz. I gotta repeat the question
Sorry.
for the stream. So, just as best I can, Dr. Budd is asking if there could be a mechanism at the student government level where students could bring a grievance if they feel that their teacher has wrongly targeted them because of their beliefs.
Anonymously.
Okay, and anonymously.
Yes. Actually, we already have it. So in my cabinet, and Ron knows where I'm going with this one, but in my cabinet, I have a director of student rights and grievances, okay? And he's amazing right now. His name's Justin Helper. He's a Catholic from Fairhope, Alabama. He's on the football team, 36. Look for him on the field. But anyway, so within student government, we have the director of student rights and grievances. It's a position authorized by our PPM, the Policy Procedure Manual. It's kind of the document that governs the university and how we operate. And it's a position where students feel like they've been wronged, can go to him, air it out. It's confidential. He can represent people in hearings. He can sit right beside them. It's a really unique position, and I've looked across our system, and we're really the only ones that have it. So yes, we do have that position. It's currently filled. He actually had a phone call today, but Yeah, no, and he fields cases. I mean, we're seeing it on the rise, but the problem isn't the position or the process or any of that, right? It's administration doesn't want to tell students you have this right.
Right.
So I keep going through conversations with admin, the provost, the president, and other people that, hey, we need to tell students you have this right. And there's this little box that says if you want, follow agreements, and if he checks yes, no one says, hey, there's the grievance director who's your free public advocate that you can go to. He knows all the procedures. He knows what you need to do. He's been trained by administration. But for some reason, admin doesn't want this position to be known. And, I could give my best guesses as to why. It's because it's an effective position, and if used correctly, it could be dangerous towards admin and the rest of it. So, yes, we have the position. Like, he's fully in, and I can give you his card and all that stuff. But my problem...
What makes it dangerous?
The part that makes it dangerous is that he succeeds when he's told all the details. His success rate is high, and it'll show that the treatment that's being put in the classroom, whether it's unfair treatment, grade related, whatever, is that teachers are sometimes invoking personal beliefs or they're unfair in treating students, and that just doesn't look good.
But that's not fair.
Again, though, my role as student body president is limited in capacities, but we make known to our leaders, local leaders, state leaders,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
that there's limits, and we do everything we can to try to get the word out that there's this right that you have on campus. But at some point, you keep hitting that brick wall. And, we have a lot of projects that are dependent on administration. There's other political realities that you have something. So that's where we are. And that's just the reality of it. Do I want it to be that way? No. But there is a process to get back to your question. I just sometimes get off because that's the frustration that we feel.
Thank you. This gentleman, hold on, sorry. This gentleman.
Oh, I don't want to step over this one.
Please, when I was at Nichols, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth and God was only a sophomore, we could, every semester, we did a survey of every professor that was anonymous. And it was made public the following semester that if there was this in where did that go? Where did that disappear?
The question is about anonymous surveys of every professor on campus, and that used to be a practice, and maybe it is not any longer.
So we still do the survey, but no one ever sees the results.
What do you mean?
And it's not public. I don't even see those results. Well, that's the other problems you run into sometimes, is that people in high up places sometimes think that these documents aren't public documents. So you would be surprised on how many times I sit in meetings and I have the law in my hand and be like, hey, this law, you mean? But I've had to put in a lot of public records requests in my day, but that's another barrier to the transparency that we all think exists, is that even the top student leader doesn't even see these results. Nope. But they do I did them last week. I did the surveys last week. But no, we don't see the results. Oh no, they don't want you to see that.
So the university is a microcosm of the country?
It's not just us, though, if that makes you feel better.
It sounds like there needs legislation to be passed to make it be public.
I'm so glad you asked this question, because I actually have a friend. Her name is Samantha Falnicki. I don't know if y'all have heard of her, but she actually filed a lawsuit recently because her professor, she had a trans professor, and she was in a psychology class, and she was asked to write a paper on her views of gender identity. Well, she brought in her biblical worldview, her biblical perspective, and cited the Bible, and he failed her. like not just gave her a 0, like failed her from the class. And so, yes.
I'm sorry, I was just,
No, you're good.
I was going to be next to ask to follow up or something.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead, finish.
But yeah, so she, so that's a lawsuit actually happening right now, and it's interesting to me how common this actually seems to be, even in Louisiana, which is very surprising because that was in Oklahoma, but Louisiana, you kind of feel like you're in. I've always felt like I was in a conservative bubble, and like we're in the Bible Belt, and nobody, we all love Jesus, and so to be so just bombarded with all of this, it's like, wow, it is creeping into our little small conservative areas.
Just to add off what you said, the constant argument I always get whenever we have those kind of situations is academic freedom. And I think that's becoming the guise of interfering with personal beliefs, religious beliefs that are protected solely under the First Amendment. Is that, well, it's academic freedom, so we can do what we want, and you can't say whatever. So that's the argument I get a lot from admin and other faculty personnel and leaders and all that stuff is, well, no, you can't touch what happens inside the classroom because that's academic freedom. So that's a common argument.
There is a bill right now in the Louisiana legislature. It's House Bill 1008 by Representative Chuck Owen, and it is an academic freedom bill.
So fun fact, I talked to Representative Chuck Owen this morning because I have to go testify on a bill in House Education, and they're hearing from LSU, and this is scoop, LSU is opposing the bill because they feel as though it would create massive causes of action. So because of academic freedom and the rest, that bill may not get through, even though it's a great bill. I mean, it's a wonderful bill. But Maine LSU is saying, oh no, we're going to get lawsuits over this. So it's stuff like that that I always think maybe we should re-examine ourselves as an institution if we're scared of protecting religious beliefs that are protected under the First Amendment. But that's just my 2 thoughts.
We need to blow the lid off that. This gentleman's been waiting for a while.
I also have to add one more thing onto that.
Okay, go ahead. But then you're next, I promise.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was gonna attest to like one personal thing of my experience that happened. I was a safety major, but in one of my exams my junior year, I got asked the question, what party does better for the United States, the Republican or the Democratic Party? I was not asked this question not once, not twice, but 3 times on my exam. True or false? No, multiple choice. The Republican Party or the Democratic Party? No, I don't care about the answer. The question is that why was this question being asked in the first place, and that this was a sole letter grade on an exam if you didn't answer what you wanted to. So I brought this up to administration. The head of my department was furious because he's the faculty advisor for Turning Point USA at Nichols. But the thing was, it's either the teacher get fired and you don't graduate, or you don't say anything and he stays and nothing happens. And that's exactly what happened. Because I already got pushed back from my graduation date, and it's either I have to wait for another teacher they find to come replace him, because we have 5 people in our department, and if one goes, our whole curriculum is messed up, or we say nothing. So that's the university to what we're dealing with. Is either you say something and consequences happen, or you say nothing and everything goes normal.
Well, yes, sir.
Thank you. It's nice to see people y'all age is smart. Y'all are high achievers. I can see it. That's all great. I'm from the 1970s, so I'm from a completely different world that y'all are from. The world y'all have inherited and that y'all are going to have to build is way different than most of us in here had to grow up with. So I see, and I want y'all to know, I think people here will agree, real change comes from stuff like this. It will never come from government. It'll come from motivated people. I want to know how do y'all see America when y'all are going to be in this crowd like we are 100 years from now? Where do y'all want to see America back to where it was like in the 1950s with Ike and everything like that, and y'all live in a world with this. You know, we're talking about God. This is the biggest representative of the devil, I think, that you guys have to deal with. Where do y'all see America 20 years from now? What do y'all want to see? What y'all plan after college when you got to go out here in this world and deal with every bad thing that this world's going to throw at you, and it is, all right? What y'all plan for America? It's not a trick question. I'm not trying to trap anybody. Anybody can take it.
He's trying to trap me.
No.
So he's asking, the question my father is asking is, the question my father's asking is, where do we see America in the next 20 years? And the question and the answer is, I don't know.
Okay.
The real thing is, like, nobody knows, because from when, like, I was born in 2003. Technology back then was so limited, and then here we are with FaceTime and VR headsets and virtual reality trainings for maritime businesses, and AI's got so big with construction. So try to think of, like, you know, there's going to be so much more innovative that comes later, 20 years down the line. But hopefully, with what we're doing right now, I'm doing what I'm doing right now, so in the next 20 years, indoctrination isn't filled in the schools, so my kids have to deal with it. So I'd rather put up the fight now, and my kids not have to be on the front line, so I did it for them.
I see a lot of people walking in courage. And that gives me hope. I'm seeing parents showing up at school boards. I'm seeing people who've said, not on my watch, I'm done with this, I've had enough. They're starting to speak up. I believe courage breeds courage, and people are starting to rise up, and that really does give me hope. But my main hope is, like, I cling to that scripture, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will heal their land. And what we need in America is a revival. We need a revival, and we need people's hearts to be turned back to God. And that truly is our only hope.
I mean, the 80s and 90s were cool, you know? I mean, there's a lot of good music.
It was a different world.
It was a very different world, yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, to tell you the truth, you know. I mean, my big thing is I always put my focus on the state side of it, right? So I hope in 20 years Louisiana is still a thing with the coastal erosion that's happening. But, joking aside, but no, my biggest concern is that the states can be the states.
Yeah.
That's where I am, is, and if we really let states be states, great things happen. It's when you have the federal government just expanding and expanding and expanding. So that's really where I am at this point. You know, I've worked in state government and all the rest. And my big thing is we gotta let states be states, just like we gotta let teachers teach. But that's my biggest worry is how big and how much more spending that the federal government's going to do in the next 20 years.
Well, that's not going to stop.
I know it's not.
You guys are going to inherit that. We'll be long gone.
Yes, but
you guys are going to deal with that.
On a macro level, that's where I am. Right. And then on the micro level, it's more about what small changes we can make, what daily interactions we can have, what kind of connections we can build, the rest, because that's really what's going to put us forward. And then I can get into the workforce pieces and all the rest.
That's a whole different thing.
But that's a whole different thing. So, yeah. But that's where I am, is you got to let states be states. And
cool. Thank you.
Don, you had a question?
Not really a question, but more of a follow-up to what Bud's question to the panel. And I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but in a previous presidential administration, the Department of Justice was weaponized against certain types of people. With the new administration, there is an avenue at the highest levels of the federal government the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, because this particular administration made it clear that these sorts of things that you guys are experiencing, especially in the university levels and things like that, in the elementary and high schools, that you can file a complaint at the federal level with the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, and they will come look at these issues. You know, so there is an avenue for you.
Yeah, thank you.
That I just wanted to point out.
And this gentleman?
So my wife just got passed over for a promotion because she got her degree from Liberty University. How is that fair?
It's not fair. That's absolutely not fair.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was noted because it was a Christian university.
It's amazing how.
Okay,
That's
so
where you need to file the complaint with the Department of Justice.
we're in South Carolina. They're in Oregon.
As a law enforcement officer, I'm telling you, file a complaint with the Department of Justice. That is illegal.
Thank you.
Flat illegal.
Well,
It's not fair, but it is illegal.
unfortunately, my wife is kind of scared it's going to ruin her reputation in the community if she files a lawsuit. But that's another.
She don't have to file a lawsuit. She just has to file a complaint.
Yeah, DOJ referral.
Yes, like you can get on the Department of Justice website under the Civil Rights Division,
of the
and you can
Department of Justice.
just write them a letter and give them the documentation to show what happened. And
Thank you.
Now, based on what this officer just said, you understand state government. How much red tape in the state government? And you smile and so there's a lot of red tape, in other words.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to trap you, dude.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's all good. But to go to your comment about the Civil Rights Division, the red tape would be, holy moly. Look, really, whenever, I always find it funny, because when the Jerry Colleague letter came out about all the DEI and everything in higher education, they're still dealing with it, which is beyond me. But anyway, we always find that it doesn't take filing a complaint with the feds, or it doesn't take doing any of that. It's just the mere idea that fire or any legal group might call us up and say, hey, you guys can't do this. Or if you just get an elected official to pick up the phone and be like, hey, what are y'all doing? That will probably yield a better result than going all the way up to the federal government. I don't, especially Nichols, let's talk regionally speaking. Like if an LSU does it, game on. But if a regional university, especially one of my size or of a similar UL system, I don't see that going anywhere, to be honest, to tell you the truth. I think that they like to go fight the big dogs, the Harvards, the Yales, the LSUs, the big ones. I think it's worthy, to go that route, but we try to stay local because the red tape, as he says, is ridiculous. And then I would probably get complaints against me from system lawyers, and we would start that whole battle. But our biggest thing is let's just talk to our local elected officials, and then we can usually just nip it in the bud anyway. But I appreciate it.
Not 100% of the time. There's a professor at Southeastern, and y'all may be aware of this story, Dr. Fareshta Abami, who was leading a research project that was funded by a company, and they didn't like the results. It's not that they didn't like the results of her findings, which were horrific, that this lake was absolutely toxic, and they were trying to find a baseline for their study. It was that she talked to the media, and it didn't just go into the silent night in some academic journal that no one would ever read. And she had an academic hearing, and the president was the one who targeted her, and the president is the one who's deciding her fate. So she's ending up, I'm guessing, in a lawsuit over that with the university. And I think this is why that legislation was brought, for academic freedom. But outside of it's a civil rights lawsuit. It's a First Amendment violation. So they're having to fight it at the federal level, even though it happened at Southeastern University.
Your wife can also file a complaint with the EEOC. Like, I'm not telling you it's gonna, like, the squeaky wheel, the squeaky wheel, eventually, it does get the grease.
Yeah.
But you can't be quiet. You
gotta
can't
be willing to
bow
fight.
down, you can't be quiet. You have to just keep running your mouth, unfortunately.
I like you so much.
You got to run your mouth. You got to be loud, you got to be annoying, you got to be obnoxious. Because they want you to go away, and you
That's
will.
right.
If
It's
it's
true.
enough pressure, you'll go away. But if it means enough to you, you won't.
It's true. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question for Cruz. Being that Nichols has students that feel that they're targeted by their instructor or professors, how do they know, and who do they know to go to report that, being that they feel that they're targeted, like how Jacob questioned his exam questions? And then I have another thing for Kristen afterwards. Could you repeat the question?
So if I have your question right, it's how do students of different views come and report it?
Yeah, do they know who to go to? How are you making that aware for the students to know where to go? Jacob had you a friend, so he knew where to go to kind of get the suggestions, but for kids that are shy, they don't interact with other people, and they accidentally mark the wrong thing on the exam, and then they feel targeted.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of our education efforts across campus is to let them know of their resources, right? And there's only so much we can do in the positions we are, unfortunately. And when you don't have that help from administrative officials of just putting a little explanation on a form, hey, you have this right. There's only so much I can do, right? You know, I mean, I have a student body of 6,000 students at the end of the day, and we do our darndest to try to educate as many people, as many colleges across as many student organizations that, hey, you have this right, we're here for you, no matter of your political belief. And I always make it, I always tell my team that, hey guys, we gotta be content neutral since we are a public university. So whether you agree or disagree with this person, I don't care. We are here to represent students and protect them. So we'll have a lot of hard conversations internally. I'm just saying, like I had one last night with them, and they were like, we fundamentally disagree with these people. I said, well, tough, put that aside, and we're here to protect and help students. And if that's not a role you want to be in, you can't be in my administration. Just no, thank you. But that's kind of the biggest thing I hit is anytime I can tell people about the services we provide and how we can help you in a disciplinary hearing. And there is a bill coming in session. It's run by Dixon McMakin right now. That's really going to help out with a lot of those things, and we're working closely with him. Talked to him this morning too. But anyway, that bill's going to help out, and there's a lot of leaders in the legislature that are helping us out. But again, you hit that wall of administration that if you constantly have things overturned or things we can appeal to the system office, that makes them look bad, and then you're going to have news stories coming in, as Southeastern is, even though that's a whole different problem, which I can't comment on because it's probably going to come in front of me. But anyway, you just run into that administrative hurdle. So
Could the student government pass a bill, or I don't know exactly how you what you call the rules passed by student government, but could you make it so that information has to be included in the syllabus of every course?
So we can pass a resolution if we would like to, right? And it'll go sit on somebody's desk and it'll put on some dusty shelf somewhere, and it'll go to some university committee. We've tried, trust me, many times. But again, it's the reality of I will get out there until I'm blue in the face talking about students' rights and all that stuff. It's that administration, and it's not just mine, doesn't want to fully air out what rights students have. And I think that's a larger problem. But we've tried, and we're at a point where they do have to include in their syllabus, hey, you have this, but you want to guess where it is in the syllabus? Last page at the very bottom in small print, where it is. And even though it's in there, good for you, but you have to scroll 8 pages. We know students aren't. And we're trying to push to put it at the top or other things, and you just ain't getting it with administration. It just ain't happening.
I had another question
Yeah,
also
Mr.
for Chris.
Go ahead.
In regards to on a professional level, on being targeted for being a Republican or conservative, I have to give Jacob's experience because I'm Jacob's mom. And I hear everything and I advise him on whatever, but last year, in between his senior year and junior year at college, he did his internship with a corporation, and he asked for 2 days off to go to the Charlie Kirk Leadership Summit. So they gave him the 2 days to go and do that. No problem. He had already been in there for like 2-3 weeks beforehand, doing a great job. He comes back from that summit and he is looked on so differently. He didn't get the job. They didn't offer it to him in the end, but he felt a completely different atmosphere. Come to find out, a few months later, I did. The lady over him, I support Kamala, was her, picture on her Facebook page. It's like, well, that right there says it all. Yes, you weren't crazy for feeling those feelings, and that just says it all. How do you go about reporting that in the workplace when you feel like you're being targeted for your beliefs? Or, I mean, he feels he can't even put anything on his LinkedIn page referring to any of that because, they might not hire me because I support Charlie Kirk. I support the Constitution.
Right. And you can't be anybody other than you.
Right. Right.
So you hold your convictions. You just have to stand firm. I think so many people have been silenced because of that. We're afraid to lose our jobs. We're afraid. I can't tell you how many teachers have come to me and they're like, I stand with you, but don't let anybody know that I'm on your side. Basically, I'm secretly standing with you, but I don't want it public, basically. And I'm like, oh, thanks. That's so kind of you. But I respect that. But yeah, it's really, I kind of see myself and like we are pioneers, and it's hard. It's going to be hard for the people up front to pioneer through that, and we're the ones that are going to get discriminated and looked at and called white nationalists and Nazi fascists. I mean, the names, homophobic, transphobic, I mean, every phobic you've ever heard of in your life. And it's only for standing for biblical truth. That's it. That's all I've stood for this whole time. Just biblical truth. Never been ugly. I will never say an ugly word to anybody. I will never call you a name. I will never, I will love you. Loving you has nothing to do with agreeing with you. I don't have to agree with you to love you. Anyways, we are just going to have to put our boots on and keep moving forward and keep fighting. And yes, we're going to be the ones that get the pushback because we're going against the grain, but hopefully our children won't have to, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. It's not going to be easy. I wish I could say there was some method to the madness where you could say this and maybe they won't discriminate as much, but they're just going to push back because it is literally a battle between good and evil. It's not about left and right, Democrat, Republican. It is good versus evil. And so anytime you are fighting for the good, you're gonna get the
Reward.
fight against you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got a couple questions, Lawrence, and then Dr. Bud, and then
I'm
so-
texting, and he's in a meeting, but he said he's interested in taking a meeting. I do not speak for Senator Mike Basie, but as you know, Mike has been attacked and personally threatened by a couple of LSU professors, and if you want to do it based upon a very limited text and he wants to talk, he's willing to give you guys a meeting. Would that help? Considering he's the senator that will oversee Nicholls State University also. Do y'all want a meeting?
Absolutely. Well, I already know the senator quite well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's helped us out a lot with Turning Point, so I'm 100%.
But like you said, if somebody like Mike walked into the president and said, hey, look, I got students coming to me, they're writing me in trouble. Hey, explain to me why you won't make this information available,
Right.
since it's public record.
And he's been going to the school for a lot of issues with us recently. I've had to go back with him. After we held our Charlie Kirk vigil, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on with students' rights, and we had to reach out to him. And when we just started to get to know who We the People was, I went to a meeting. As soon as I brought this up to him, somebody got in contact with Mike Fazy, and then Jay Kloon was on the phone. I was like, what the heck? How'd they get in contact that quick? My gosh. But, that's amazing that we have people, in office that are able to help students outside of Nichols, because somebody's got to take a stand in somewhat, and I'm grateful that he's been helping us with what he's been doing.
All right, I'm sorry, I skipped over you.
Yeah. A few years ago at Nichols, there was a young conservative girls, students, and she happened to write 2020 Trump with chalk on the side. Do you remember that?
So that was before I got to college there, but I found out that the question was about.
It wasn't a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't quite. And anyway, but they were activists for Black Lives Matter, the student union, and that was okay. And this student had to be followed by campus police to her class. So that's a big help sometimes.
Right.
They want you to vote, so they're gonna help you.
Yeah, make them work.
That was the Young Conservative group. That was around 2018, 2019. I got to. Okay. Yeah, it was around that time they wrote that, and after that they were done. They were removed from student organizations, and there was no conservative student organization until I started mine in 2023, which I don't know if under political organizations, if that's still not if that's listed just yet. I don't know, but it was important that we did have one, and it's a shame that if they can do all that stuff with writing BLM, but somebody can't write 2020. I mean, if one person should be able to do it, then that's again silencing that free speech in Free Speech Alley, because in front of the union. Oh, that's not where I was? Okay, you speak.
No, I remember what happened. No, it was actually then Attorney General Jeff Landry and took care of it. It wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Well,
a
he's the
congressman.
one that called Plume.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the reason the student got removed and the organization had problems was the student group broke university policy. They went into the whole aesthetics argument of where you can display free speech and where you can't. And so we can talk about aesthetics and concrete's protected and then wood paneling is not. So I remember the whole thing very clearly, but
It was so wrong.
well, I have to adhere to university policy and we have to enforce it. But just for clarity, the reason that happened, I believe, is because they broke university policy. Which, when you do that, that's kind of on you. But we always try to educate our student organizations. Some I've helped Jacob out a lot is, how can we help you? How can we educate you on university policy so you don't break it and you're allowed to fully express yourselves?
Can I ask you my second question?
Okay,
Just
go
a
ahead.
question about the books. The books at your school, the bad book. I mean, I call them bad. I taught school 33 years. 20 years ago, I did 30 years. I finished, and we didn't have that problem with these books. But now, do you have a chance, or the teachers have a chance, to go through the books and kind of get rid of the ones?
I definitely do. Now, I moved from, I'm now in a private school. So I was teaching in public school for 6 years, and then the last 2 years I've been in a private education, so huge difference. But yes, in public school, I had to be very careful, because I didn't want to teach something that, I'm teaching babies, and I remember we're given a curriculum. They basically want you to verbatim follow this curriculum. And I did pretty much with fidelity. I did follow the curriculum, but it took a lot of work outside of the classroom of filtering through some of it, because there was some stuff that I just did not feel comfortable. I remember my first year teaching, and I was given all this information and told to teach this stuff very naively, and would play the videos that they were telling me to play, and the curriculum and stuff was in the videos that were just not appropriate for children. And then I'm wondering, did the school board not see this? Because why would they be showing female parts on a video to fourth graders, right? So I remember thinking either the school board's not looking at this stuff, and then teachers, naively, new teacher, putting it up on the panel because my curriculum tells me to show this, and then I'm like, trying to get it to go off because all the boys in my class are like, so hot mess express, that I'll never forget it. But that taught me that I had to do my homework before every lesson, and it was a lot of extra work outside of contract hours, but I was not about to put something on my screen ever again that would be inappropriate before the eyes of a child. And it's really sad that teachers have to do that, because we don't get paid to do that, but we're having to monitor through a lot of filth, basically. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, this
Could you
has
ask the
been.
people asking questions to stand up and face the group, please?
Sorry?
Could you ask the people who are asking questions to stand up and face the group?
Oh, well, now I think we're right here at a close because it's 7 o'clock. I know, sorry for that. But please feel free to mingle. We want you to get your questions answered, but we also want to make sure people feel free to go. Thank you all for coming, and if you are able, we'd love for you to join us for lunch next Thursday with Louisiana Treasurer John Fleming. What, Vicki?
Sign up now.
Yeah, you can sign up now, and the shrimp boil information is out there as well. And if you want to do it later, WTPBayou.org. Any other?
Pizza.
Oh, and please eat a lot of pizza.
Yeah.
And soft drinks.
Say it out loud, Vicki.
Pizza.
Yeah, eat pizza. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you all. And can you join me in thanking Pam?
Yeah.